skit based on the old TV show Dragnet. And I only know this because my sources tell me. And this skit, you know, the detective was really dry and sarcastic, kind of like a jerk, and the lady kind of stupid. And I said, it's pretty funny. You should watch it. And it's delicious.
This is the city, my city. I'm paying for it in installments. It was a quiet night that afternoon, almost too quiet. The kind of quiet right before you get that ringing in your ears that makes your teeth itch. It was hot, and the smog was as thick as the mayo on one of the local deli sandwiches. That's when she walked in. That's when she walked in. She was as mysterious as the luncheon meat they serve in grade school cafeterias. She had an hourglass figure, and I could tell it was 8:30. Her legs were the kind that went all the way to the floor. She was wearing a sweet perfume that reminded me of summer mornings on my uncle's farm in Kansas, right after the rainstorm when I learned to swim. Oh, but I digress.
Are you a private detective?
I used to be a public one, but I got arrested.
Well, my name is Emily.
I could see by the look in her eyes that she was wearing shades.
I'm in trouble.
She seemed troubled. Well, you've come to the right place. How can I help?
It's my fiancé. He's missing and I believe him to be dead.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, now that you're single, you doing anything this Friday night? I guess not.
This is serious, detective. I suspect foul play.
Dun 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 dun. We couldn't afford sound effects for the sketch. Did your fiancé have any enemies? I know anyone want to do him in?
No, not that I know of.
Well, then it shouldn't be too hard to make a list of suspects. What did your fiancé do for a living?
He was a Brussels sprouts farmer.
Well, the list might be a little longer than I originally suspected. You see, I always thought Brussels sprouts grew naturally out of nuclear waste dumps. But this bud was engaged to a guy who actually cultivated the most horrible terror the vegetable kingdom had ever mutated, the Brussels sprout. I couldn't understand how a fine lady like Anna had gotten herself mixed up with a guy with the second most worthless occupation in the world. You don't mind me asking, how'd you get mixed up with the Brussels sprout farm?
I met him while attending Portland University.
Ah, good old P.U.
He was studying agriculture and I was an English major.
And then, like Z-cream on a teenager's face, it all became clear. The only reason why you would date someone with the second most worthless occupation is if you had the most worthless occupation, an English major. It almost broke my heart to hear it. Didn't you realize we only learned just enough English to graduate high school and watch Benny Hill? After that, we revert to ebonics and various grunts resembling speech.
Who do you keep talking to? Never mind. You must help me, detective.
Well, I do have other cases I'm working on. The only other case I was working on was a case of chicken pox, but she didn't need to know that.
Do you speak in past tense?
I used to.
Well, I'd gladly pay you for your time.
I'm on the job, so when did you see your fiancé last?
This morning, he said he was going to meet us in the hills. So shopping.
Where did you go shopping?
My living room, home shopping yard.
Evil rears its ugly head again.
When out of town, there was this rat in the meadows.
Aha! The game is afoot.
Should we call the digest?
Dear Anna, I'll have bought the farm by 1 o'clock.
Well, detective.
In my personal opinion, Miss Lee, most threatening notes don't start out with the word dear, so I don't think it's very threatening.
Well, maybe the polite killers.
Miss Lee, you said yourself that your fiancé was going to visit with some realtors and that he is a farmer. Is it possible that he bought some land with the intent of planting Brussels sprouts?
I think he mentioned something like that, but who can stand listening to all that man talk about football, cars, and large land deals?
Well, Miss Lee, I'm afraid that your fiancé is still alive and has purchased a farm.
What about the gangster?
What gangster?
The Irish Mexican. 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock, not... Never mind. Look, Miss Lee, why don't you go home and wait? I'm sure your fiancé will be there shortly and he'll move you to Green Acres.
Thank you, detective. However can I repay you?
With the check or money order once you get my bill. Another mystery solved. Scooby-Doo, eat your heart out. So it wasn't the most difficult case I had this year. Nothing like my case of the measles. But still, I felt good. With the money I made from this little caper, I could pay the rent or possibly buy one of those cool voiceovers for my next sketch. Till then, I figured I'd go walk down to some hole-in-the-wall dive for a drink. I'd drive, but I I never saw the case of my missing cartridges. Lock up when you're done, okay?